Hello everyone, my name is Anitsu and I'm back with another Digimon video. So today I'm going to be talking about the Special Booster 1.0 and its draft format. So just as one thing to keep in mind, this kind of right now only really works with Special Booster 1.0 because that's really the only thing we have going right now. We don't know the pull ratios of Special Booster 1.5 and we don't know much about BT04. So I don't necessarily know if these are going to affect how those draft environments might end up being, but the fact that Special Booster 1.0 has a draft format, and it's actually a pretty interesting draft format. But there are multiple ways and multiple different rule changes that you could adopt, but this is just the ones that I have settled with because I believe in trying to keep the game as intact as humanly possible. So going over the draft rules, each player will receive 4 packs. 4 packs, I found, it just gives you enough cards in your card pool to have a deck size of 25 to 30 cards. And then as far as the only really big rule change for the draft format is you're going to have no color restrictions on evolution requirements and playing your option cards. So as far as no restrictions on evolution requirements, it means you could have something like a Greymon digivolve into something like a Cerberusmon. So this is kind of a really interesting way to just figure out alternate uses for cards that you might not have been thinking about before, and it really creates a interesting, diverse variety of just unforeseen combos and unforeseen synergies that just kind of make the draft format a little bit different and a little bit more fun. But the only reason why we do this is because that the color ratios and the color distributions aren't exactly even, which I'll get into a moment. But as far as the other big important thing for the draft format is you do draft with the Digitamas. So I found that separating the Digitamas into like a separate pool just wasn't really as enjoyable, and it did take away some of the decision making you have to make when pulling cards. And I felt like the Digitamas, even though you could see which ones are the Digitamas because the backs are different, I just felt like players still wanted to draft with the Digitamas. If you end up with a deck of 0 Digitamas, then that's kind of your fault as a draft player, and you could still play the game even without Digitamas. So it's not like they're that important. They're just decent starters, and basically they act for draft as kind of like a free card draw. But you could still, again, come up with some pretty interesting and crazy synergies just without having the evolution requirements. So as far as building your deck, there are a couple of ideal deck ratios that you kind of want to be targeting for as far as the draft format. Because you're going to be using a smaller deck size, that means the ratios are also going to have to change and adjust accordingly. So obviously you're going to want to have about 2 to 5 Digitama. If you have 0, that's fine. You can still play your cards, you just have to hardcast them. But you're going to want to target around 8 to 10 rookies for your deck. You're going to want to target around 6 to 8 champions for the deck, about 4 to 6 ultimates, around 2 to 4 or like 2 to 6 megas. I just settled around 4 just because it's a smaller deck and you'll have a higher chance of seeing the megas. And then you're going to want to between 2 to 4 tamers or option cards. I just felt like based on the option cards available to us, and the Tamer's available to us because there's not that much great synergy and those cards aren't super great. You're going to want to prioritize picking your Digimon over the options and Tamer cards. But again, depending on the type of deck that you're building and the types of synergies that you can support, the ratios aren't exactly hard locked. These are just recommendations. But as far as the color to level ratio, this is kind of just the general breakdown of the color to level ratio. As we can see, the colors aren't exactly evenly distributed, which makes drafting certain cards harder, especially with certain rarities, because certain colors will have a higher amount of higher rarity cards. So it kind of just throws the whole like synergy thing out of whack because you can't exactly get what you need, and like it just doesn't really work in the booster. But again, the booster isn't designed to be drafted, and we're just trying to force it to be draftable. And I just felt like because of how the color level and rarity breakdown is, then you kind of just have to unlock the restrictions on playing option cards and digivolving your Digimon, so that way you could still try to play the game to as much normal degree as you possibly can. So this also means that your security is going to be 5. I just felt like anything less than 5 was just not super engaging. Like the games would kind of end too quickly depending on how you build your deck. And I just felt like 5 was still a good number to have because it gives you, for the most part, a full experience just with a smaller deck size. But the interesting thing to note is that each box contains an average of 15 Digitama cards. So going into a draft, you kind of have to keep that in the back of your mind on how many Digitama cards you're likely to see in your pool or in the box. But the other big thing on why the rule change is the way it is because of how certain colors are designed. So the colors of red, blue, and yellow are designed with the idea of upgrading the starter decks. So they are lacking particular tools that green, purple, and black have gotten. So that also really affects not only just the distribution on those colors, but how those colors play. And because red, blue, and yellow are just lacking in certain tools, you really kind of need some of the stuff that the other colors have to kind of make up for that. And then as far as how you draft and what a draft looks like, generally a pod will be anywhere from 4 to 8 players. The booster box does natively support 6, but for this example, I'm just going to be using 4 players. So again, each player is going to get 4 packs, and basically how you draft is you'll open up one pack, you will pick a card from that pack, and then pass the rest of the pack to the right. Each other player will be doing the same, and then you rinse and repeat until the pack is completely empty of cards. And then what happens next is you'll open up your second pack, and you will pass it to the other direction. So you'll rinse and repeat, alternating packs and directions until basically all of the cards have been drafted, and then you'll start to build your deck with those given cards that you drafted. And then you'll go and play a game with one of the other people, and you'll just, have a general good time. So that's kind of just my quick general rundown of the Special Booster 1.0 draft format. The set is draftable, but again, certain rules are going to have to be changed just because the set wasn't designed for draft, and we're just trying to force it to be draftable. So again, this is just what I settled on, and these rules really only work for Special Booster 1.0 because, like I said again, in the other sets, things could be drastically different, and they could theoretically design it to be more draft-friendly, but who knows. So if you like my content and want to help support the channel, I do have a TCG player affiliate link down in the description below. Whenever you use that link to purchase your cards off of tcgplayer.com, some of the money will go towards supporting the channel. And on top of that, I also have partnered with Overcard Gamers over on Facebook. I do make and design some playmats, and they are kind enough to partner with me to print the designs that I've been making. On top of which, if you mention my channel, you'll get $2 off any of my playmat designs. And that's all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video.